Okay, so buckle up, listeners, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of AI.
AI.
AI, yeah,
Yes,
AI.
totally.
It's one of those things that feels like it's changing every single day.
Right.
And to help us navigate this world, we did a deep dive into a talk by AI entrepreneur Rafa Torrijos.
Yep, that was great.
Yeah, he's like living and breathing AI right now.
He's at the forefront of it. Really interesting guy to listen to.
Yeah, so he was speaking at this FID 2024 conference in Panama, and
That's right.
I guess I'll admit right off the bat, AI can be kind of intimidating. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of jargon, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's moving so fast, right?
Yeah,
It's really hard to keep up, and it can feel like you're already behind. Like,
totes.
how am I ever going to catch up with this?
Yeah, and I think that's something that Torrijos recognized right away because he starts his talk by asking the audience, you know,
How many are beginners? Right.
yeah, like how many of you consider yourselves AI beginners? And from the sounds of it, almost everyone in the room raised their hand.
Which is comforting, right?
Yeah, it's like, okay,
It's not just me.
I'm not the only one who feels a little lost here.
Exact.
We're all kind of figuring this out together.
And I think that's a really important point that he makes is that this is a huge opportunity for everyone
Yeah.
because so many people are just starting out.
Yeah, it's not like the internet boom where some people were in early and they,
Right.
they had this advantage. We're
Yes.
all kind of on the ground floor here.
Yeah, this is the ground floor.
And, he dives right in. And I thought he had such a clever way of introducing this. But he starts by asking the audience about the significance of November 30th.
Oh, yeah, his birthday.
Okay, so I'll admit I was totally drawing a blank.
Me too.
I was like, November 30th, is that,
Some national holiday.
is that like a national holiday in Panama or something?
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually his birthday.
It is.
Which, happy belated birthday, Rafa, if you're listening.
Happy birthday.
But he uses it to introduce something much bigger. He uses it to introduce the birth of ChatGPT 3.5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a way to enter the world, right? ChatGPT, I mean, talk about a game changer.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And he really hammered home how explosive that growth has been.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, just from that single tweet, it hit 100 million users in 5 days.
5 days.
Faster than any other tech adoption in history.
I can't even imagine.
It's mind-blowing. And I think that's why he sort of leads with this idea of exponential growth.
Right.
Because this isn't just, a steady incline. We're talking about like a skyrocketing.
A hockey stick.
Yeah, a hockey stick. Exactly.
And that's something that he actually showed in his talk, too, with a graph.
Yeah.
This kind of accelerating pace of AI development. And it's something that, as humans, we're not really wired to grasp.
He literally said, humans are not wired for this.
Well,
like, we can't even fathom the speed at which this is all happening.
it's like trying to wrap your head around the vastness of space.
Yes, exactly.
Like it's just beyond our comprehension. And
Yeah.
it's happening whether we like it or not.
It is.
It's happening.
It's unfolding all around us.
Yeah. And even if we just compare, from the time that ChatGPT 3.5 came out to now, think about how much has changed.
Oh, my goodness.
Right, even just to the latest version of ChatGPT, or even better yet, the introduction to GPTs.
Okay, so for those of us who are like,
Hold on.
hold on.
What is a GPT?
So imagine ChatGPT, but on steroids,
Okay.
then specialized.
Okay.
So it's like a super-powered ChatGPT that's fine-tuned for a specific task.
Got it.
So instead of having like a general-purpose AI, you now have one that's like really good at a particular thing. So you could have a GPT for writing code, or a GPT for generating marketing copy, or a GPT for translating languages.
So it's basically like saying, instead of having a smartphone, I now have a phone that's specifically for photography, or a phone that's just for gaming, or a phone that's just for...
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
It's like that, but instead of needing to code it, you're telling it what to do in plain English.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
So you're saying that theoretically, like, anyone could create their own AI?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think a really powerful, but also kind of a daunting idea, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because it's like, whoa, this technology is so accessible now that anyone can create their own custom AI.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is a little bit scary.
I mean, cool, but also a little bit like, wow, am I going to get left in the dust here?
Oh, and that's actually something that Torrijos addressed in his talk, too, is he asked the audience how many people actually pay for ChatGPT.
Oh, interesting.
And only 2 people raised their hands.
Wow.
Out of, I don't know how many hundreds of people in the audience.
Really?
Yeah, and he contrasted that with how readily we pay for things like Netflix or Spotify.
Oh,
That's a good point.
right. And it kind of highlights that a lot of people still haven't really grasped
Yeah.
the true value and potential of AI.
It's true because we pay for our entertainment
every month.
without a second thought.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a given. But when it comes to something that could potentially revolutionize how we work, how we learn, you know?
Yeah. Improve our lives in so many ways.
Right. We're a little bit hesitant to invest in that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating paradox, and I think it
Mhm.
really highlights that we're on the cusp of a massive shift
Yeah.
because the tools are there, the potential is there about it, but we're still sort of wrapping our heads around it.
So how do we wrap our heads around it? What's...
I think the first step is to realize that this isn't just about ChatGPT anymore.
Okay.
This is about a whole universe of AI models that are out there.
Okay, so it's not one single player anymore.
It's an ecosystem
It's a whole
and
ecosystem.
a whole landscape of AI.
Oh, okay. That.
So, ChatGPT was sort of the first one to really kind of explode onto the scene. But there are all these other AI models out there that are doing really cool things.
Okay, so give me some examples. I want to hear more about this AI landscape. Who else is out there?
All right, well, let's see. Torrijos walked the audience through a few of the big ones.
Okay.
He started with Anthropic's Claude,
Claude, okay.
which is interesting in particular because it was developed by former OpenAI employees.
Oh, so a little bit of competition brewing there.
Absolutely. There's some serious competition in the AI world, and Claude has some unique tricks up its sleeve.
Okay,
Like, for example, it has this feature called Artifacts,
Mhm.
which lets you actually see your code as you're writing it with text prompts.
Wait, so I can tell, like, write me some code for, like, I don't know.
For an app that does this.
Yeah, for an app that does this, and then it will show me the code as it's writing it?
That's right. It's like having a coding buddy built right in.
That's wild. So it's basically taking all the guesswork out of
Yeah.
coding,
Okay.
basically.
And that's just one example, right?
Okay, so Claude's one to watch. Who else is on this AI starting lineup?
All right. Well, you've got the big players like Microsoft with their Copilot,
Oh, yeah.
which you might have already encountered if you use Microsoft Office.
Right, right.
And then there's Google's Gemini,
Gemini, okay.
which is known for having one of the largest windows of context.
Okay, window of context, that sounds important. Break that down for me.
Okay, so imagine you're trying to understand a complex topic, right?
Okay.
Would you rather read a paragraph at a time?
Or have access to the entire book.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole book, for
The
sure.
context is always better,
Yeah.
right? And it's the same for AI.
Okay.
The window of context refers to how much information an AI model can process at once.
Got it.
So a larger window means that the AI can consider more information,
Okay.
leading to more nuanced and accurate responses.
So it's like having a bigger brain in a way.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that analogy.
So that's one of the things that Gemini is known for.
Got it. Okay, so we've got Claude, we've got Copilot, we've got Gemini. Who else?
And then this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Torrijos brings up Mistral, which
Right.
he calls Europe's answer to the American AI giants.
Oh, okay, so Europe's trying to get in on the game as well.
Absolutely, they don't want to be left behind.
Yeah, of course.
But then he drops a bombshell.
Oh,
Meta's open source Elmer.
Meta. Okay, so Mark Zuckerberg and the gang.
Exactly.
Okay, and what do you mean open source?
So here's the analogy he used.
Okay.
He said, picture Google and OpenAI, right, playing in the AI sandbox.
Okay, I like it. I like where this is going.
They're building their AI models.
Yep.
They're kind of keeping them a little bit close to the
It's
vest.
proprietary, right?
Exactly. And then Meta strolls in feeling like they're the original inventors of big data, right, with Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And they decide to shake things up.
Okay, how is he?
They essentially kick over the sandbox
Oh,
and they say, we're making our AI models open source available to the world.
wow, that's a power move right there.
It's a huge power move.
Okay, so what are the implications of that? Because my mind goes to both good and potentially bad things.
Exactly. That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And Torrijos pointed out both sides.
Okay.
He said, on the one hand, open source AI, like Llama, is incredibly empowering for developers and researchers
Yeah.
because they can install it on their own servers.
Right.
They can protect their data.
Yep.
They can experiment freely without having to rely on these big tech companies.
So it's democratizing in a way.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
But on the other hand, it also means that anyone, including those with less than noble intentions, have access to this powerful technology.
Yeah, you're opening up Pandora's box a little bit.
Exactly. He called it opening Pandora's box.
Because you don't know what people are going to do with it.
That's right. And that's, I think, what makes this whole AI landscape so fascinating and also a little bit unnerving, is that we're entering this uncharted territory
Totally.
where it's not just about a few companies controlling AI anymore. It's about,
It's for everybody.
it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And that could lead to an explosion of creativity and innovation.
Right.
but it could also lead to some unforeseen consequences.
It's the Wild West out there.
It really is the Wild West of AI development.
And he didn't stop there.
Oh no, he kept going.
Because to kind of add to this sense of possibility, he reminded us about the sheer breadth of AI applications.
It's not just about chatbots anymore.
Bro.
There's AI for everything.
He actually mentioned this website, and I thought this was so clever. There's an AI for that.
Yeah, I love that website.
It's like there's an app for that, but for AI.
Exactly, and it just highlights that there are literally AI models for almost anything you can imagine, from generating text and images to creating videos and even avatars.
It really is mind-blowing. And speaking of mind-blowing, Torrijos really blew my mind when he revealed how he created the opening video for his talk.
Oh yeah, his grand AI illusion.
Because he just casually drops this bombshell that the entire video was 100% AI generated.
I know, and it looks so real.
It does. It looks like something you would see at a tech conference.
Absolutely.
It's very slick, very professional. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I didn't actually make this AI.
Yeah, it was a really powerful way to illustrate just how much AI is blurring the lines between what's real and what's created.
Okay, so spill the tea. How did he do it? Did he have like a secret team of AI wizards working around the clock? Like, I need to know the secret sauce?
Well, it's surprisingly accessible, actually. He broke it down step by step, and it all starts with a simple text prompt.
Okay.
So he used Midjourney, which is that AI image generator, to create an image of a guy wearing VR goggles.
Oh, okay.
And then he needed a script.
Right, of course.
So he turned to our good friend ChatGPT.
Naturally.
But he didn't just say like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a script. He gave it a very specific persona and goal.
Okay.
He told it to act as an expert in AI and copywriting.
Oh, interesting.
And then he said, I want you to create a script that's aimed at educational institutions.
So it's all about giving the AI the right directions, the right prompts.
Exactly. You're not just telling it what to do, you're telling it how to do it and who to do it for.
Okay.
And the results speak for themselves.
Right. But, okay, so we've got the visuals, we've got the script, now we need the voiceover.
Right.
Surely that was him.
You're going to tell me he used AI for that too, aren't you?
I don't know, are you?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He used 11 Labs, which is a voice cloning tool,
What?
to create a digital replica of his own voice.
No way.
Yeah, it's incredible how realistic these AI voices are becoming.
That's both mind-blowing and also a little bit like...
Creepy.
Yeah, like, are we in a simulation right now? Like, how do we even know what's real anymore?
And that's, I think, the point he's trying to make, is that...
It's getting harder and harder to tell.
Exactly.
Discern.
And he didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
He used AI for the stock footage.
Cool.
He used AI for the subtitles. And he even pointed out a subtle clue that can help you spot AI-generated videos. The lip syncing.
Really?
Yeah.
The lip syncing isn't quite perfect yet.
It's very good. But if you look closely, you might notice slight discrepancies between the audio and the mouth movements.
So you're saying if I'm watching a video and like the words don't quite
match up
with the mouth, that's how I know?
That could be a sign
that
it's AI generated.
That's fascinating. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that. But I also wonder like how many people would even notice.
Right. I mean, we're so bombarded with information these days.
Exactly.
That it's easy to just kind of passively consume and not really think critically about what we're seeing.
And I think that was his point, right? Is that as this becomes more and more prevalent,
it's going to become the norm.
We need to develop almost like a new media literacy skill set.
Like a sixth sense for spotting the AI behind the curtain.
I like that. I like that a lot, a sixth sense for AI.
Because otherwise we're just going to be swimming in this sea of content and not really knowing what's real and what's not.
Right. And I think the scary thing is not even necessarily that it's not real, but that we won't even be able to tell the difference.
Exactly.
Right.
And that has huge implications for how we consume information, how we trust information.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Fake news is one thing, but when you can't even tell if the person speaking is a real person.
That's a whole other level.
It's a whole other level.
And it's not just about the creep factor or the potential for misuse either. Beyond the wow factor of the video, Torrijos used it to highlight a really crucial point: AI's potential to generate almost infinite content.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So it's not just that he made this video, it's that AI can make videos.
Exactly.
Endlessly.
Limitless possibilities.
And if we can create more faster, imagine the impact that has on productivity across industries.
It's a paradigm shift.
It's huge.
It is.
And it's not just, we talk about AI a lot in terms of, these big companies and these tech advancements, but What about the individual? What
I know,
about,
the human element.
yeah, the human element? And I think that's where Torrijos' story is so interesting because he's not just talking about AI, he's living it.
He calls himself a digital entrepreneur.
Yes, and he really embodies that. And he kind of walked us through his journey a little bit. He talks about these three main ventures, the Digital Rat, La Machina, and Humanity.ai.
Yeah, he's got his hands in a lot of different pots.
He does, and I think it's really interesting to see how he's applying AI in these different areas. So tell me a little bit more about those three ventures, starting with the Digital Rat.
Okay, so the digital rat is essentially his personal brand.
Okay.
It's where he shares his insights on entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
digital marketing, AI, all that good stuff.
Okay.
And he's kind of like this digital Pied Piper guiding aspiring entrepreneurs through the world of online business.
I love that.
Right? It's all about sharing his knowledge and empowering others to succeed in the digital age.
That's awesome, paying it forward.
Exactly.
Using his platform to lift other people up. I love that. What about La Machina?
La Máquina, which means the machine in Spanish.
Oh, that's so cool.
It started out as a traditional marketing agency,
Okay.
but Torrijos, being the visionary that he is, he saw the writing on the wall.
He saw where things were headed.
He did.
Yeah.
And instead of fearing AI, he decided to embrace it.
Okay.
So they transformed La Máquina into what he calls a prompt platform.
Okay, now I need you to break that down for me because I have no idea what a prompt platform is.
Okay, so think about it this way.
Right.
Instead of clients going back and forth with a team of creatives,
Yeah.
they interact directly with La Máquina as if it were an AI.
Oh, okay.
So they provide prompts like, I need a script for a new product launch,
Okay.
or create a presentation for my board meeting.
Got it.
And AI, guided by La Máquina's expertise, generates the content.
So they're like AI whisperers in a way.
Exactly.
They're bridging the gap between human needs and AI capabilities.
They're curating the AI.
Yeah.
They're shaping it.
They're making sure that it aligns with what the client actually wants.
Exactly. And it's still the creative minds and the strategic thinking of a marketing agency.
Right.
But they've amplified their power with AI.
Okay, that's really interesting. And he actually said that this new approach has made them 4 times faster
4 times faster.
and more affordable
More affordable.
than their competitors.
Yeah.
So talk about a competitive edge.
That's huge.
It's huge. I mean, that makes you wonder, like, how can other businesses adapt and leverage AI in a similar way?
Right. Well, and that's the question that I think a lot of business owners are grappling with right now, is how do we take this technology and use it to our advantage?
Right, because it's clearly not going away.
It's not going away.
It's here to stay.
It's only going to become more powerful, more prevalent.
So if you're not on board, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the Digital Rat. We talked about La Machina. He's got one more venture up his sleeve, Humanity.ai.
Right.
And this one piqued my interest because it focuses on education,
Right.
which is near and dear to my heart.
It's such an important area, and it's one that's ripe for disruption.
Yes, it is.
And that's exactly what Humanity.ai is trying to do.
Okay, so how are they using AI to revolutionize education?
So their whole thing is enhancing the student experience from start to finish.
Okay.
He used this great analogy of a periodic table
Okay.
of processes that every university needs to manage,
Got it.
right? From attracting students to enrolling them, to educating them, to graduating them,
Yeah, the whole life cycle.
the whole thing. And he said, Humanity.ai provides the AI elements to complete that table,
Oh, I like that.
right? So it's like they're filling in the gaps.
They're optimizing the entire journey.
Exactly. And they're doing it in a way that's personalized and efficient.
Okay, give me some specific examples. Like, how are they actually using AI in the classroom?
Well, for example, they talked about using AI to tailor messaging for social media.
Okay.
So he uses a prompt like this. He says, create a table listing the problems that young people face when choosing a university, the reasons for those problems, 3 solutions, and a call to action.
Oh, that's a good prompt.
Right.
That's really specific.
And it gives the AI a framework for understanding those challenges
Okay.
and then crafting really targeted messaging.
So it's not just like, hey, come to our school. It's like,
Exactly.
we understand that you're struggling with this, this, and this, and here's how we can help.
That's right. It's meeting students where they're at.
Which is huge,
It is.
especially at that stage in their life when they're making these really big decisions.
Exactly. And this is all powered by AI.
That's amazing.
And it can generate tons of content for social media, all structured around that classic marketing funnel.
Right.
But it's not just about text.
Okay.
He also talked about using AI to create digital avatars.
Oh, like those AI-powered virtual assistants that we're seeing more and more of.
Exactly.
Okay.
But imagine having an avatar that looks and sounds just like a real university representative,
Wow.
available 24/7 to answer questions from prospective students.
That's incredible. And it frees up staff to focus on more like nuanced,
It's exactly.
important questions.
It's personalized attention on a whole new level,
That's amazing.
and it goes beyond that.
Okay.
He even talked about using AI to change how educational content is delivered.
That's
So, for example, they talked about using Google's Notebook LM to turn dense research papers
Oh my God.
and lectures into engaging podcasts.
That's amazing.
So instead of having to wade through hundreds of pages of text,
Yeah.
students can listen to a podcast.
That's so much more engaging for this generation.
It is. It's how they consume information.
Yes.
And it's making education more accessible and engaging for everyone.
That's incredible.
And he shared how his own son has benefited from attending a school that's embracing this kind of innovative AI-powered approach.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
Seeing it firsthand.
Yeah, and it really highlights that education needs to evolve to keep pace with how students learn best.
It does, and it's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but it's also a bit overwhelming, right? Because the speed of AI innovation is unlike anything we've ever seen.
He made this mind-blowing comparison of how the 20th century took us from horses to the moon in just 69 years.
Wow.
But with AI, we're seeing advancements almost daily.
It's almost impossible to keep up.
It is.
It's like, where do you even begin?
It is. It really is. Where do you even begin? And I think that's what Torrijos was getting at, is that this is the challenge of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Is how do we wrap our heads around this pace of innovation? And more importantly, how do we harness it?
Yeah, because it's not enough to just kind of sit back and watch it happen.
Right.
We have to be active participants in shaping this future.
Exactly. And that's where I think his message gets really interesting, because he's not just saying, like, hey, be afraid of AI, or hey, AI is going to solve all our problems.
Yeah.
He's saying we need to be thoughtful about how we use this technology.
Right.
And we need to start by understanding its potential and its limitations.
Okay, so let's talk about that then, because we were just talking about the AI landscape and all these different players,
Right.
and the fact that it's not just about ChatGPT anymore.
It's not.
There's a whole universe of AI out there.
Exactly.
So how do we start to make sense of it all? Like, where do we even begin?
Well, I think a good place to start is by looking at the different types of AI models that are out there,
Okay,
because each one has its own strengths and weaknesses.
got it.
So, for example, we talked about ChatGPT, which is great for generating text.
Mhm.
But there are other models that are better suited for different tasks.
Like what?
So, for example, there are AI models that are specifically designed for image recognition,
Okay,
or for natural language processing,
right.
or for machine learning.
And each one of those is like a whole other rabbit hole.
It is
Like-
it's a whole other deep
A
dive.
whole other deep dive, exactly.
But the point is that you don't need to be an expert in all of them.
Okay,
You just need to know that they exist,
right.
and you need to start thinking about how you can use them to your advantage.
So it's more about like understanding the possibilities
Exactly.
and then figuring out which tools are the right tools for the job.
Exactly. And that's where I think this idea of prompt engineering comes in.
Okay, prompt engineering. Tell me more about that, because I've heard that term thrown around a lot.
So prompt engineering is essentially the art of crafting the perfect prompt for an AI model.
Okay, so it's like giving it the right instructions.
It's more than just instructions.
Okay.
It's about understanding how the AI model thinks,
Okay.
and then framing your request in a way that will elicit the best possible response.
So it's almost like you're speaking its language.
Exactly.
You're not just talking at it, you're talking with it.
Exactly. And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong with AI.
How way?
They treat it like a magic button.
Okay.
They think they can just press a button and the AI will magically do their work for them.
Right, and then they're disappointed when it doesn't work out that way.
Exactly.
Because it's not magic.
It's not magic. It's a tool.
It's a tool.
And like any tool, it takes practice and skill to use it effectively.
So what are some tips for like crafting a good prompt then? Because I'll admit, I've definitely been guilty of like,
Of the magic button approach.
yeah, like just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Right. Well, I think the first thing is to be specific.
Okay.
Don't just say, like, write me a poem.
Yeah.
Say, write me a sonnet about the beauty of nature in the springtime.
Okay, so give it some context.
Exactly. Give it context, give it constraints, tell it what you want.
Got it.
And don't be afraid to experiment,
Okay.
because the more you experiment, the better you'll understand how the AI model works and the better your prompts will become.
So it's an iterative process.
It is.
It's not just like a one and done.
No.
You have to be willing to kind of like play around with it and see what works.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
Is that it's this constant process of discovery.
It's like you're learning alongside the AI.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think the more we can embrace that mindset of curiosity and experimentation, the more we're going to get out of these AI tools.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so exciting about this whole field is that it's still so new.
It is.
And there's so much we don't know yet.
Exactly.
But that's what makes it so much fun to explore.
It does. And I think the more we explore, the more we're going to realize just how much potential AI has to transform our lives for the better.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see where it all goes.
Me too.
Okay, so we've talked about the AI landscape. We've talked about prompt engineering.
Yeah.
But I want to come back to something that Torrijos mentioned earlier, this idea that AI is not going to replace professionals, but those who don't know how to use it will.
Yes. That's a powerful statement.
It is, and I think it's something that a lot of people are afraid of,
They are.
that AI is going to take their jobs.
Right.
But I think what he's saying is that it's not about AI versus humans.
Exactly.
It's about AI and humans working together.
It's about augmentation, not replacement.
I like that.
Yeah.
Augmentation, not replacement.
Because AI can automate a lot of tasks,
Right,
but it can't replace human creativity.
right,
It can't replace human empathy.
right.
It can't replace human connection.
And it can't replace things like critical thinking and problem solving.
Exactly.
Those are still uniquely human skills.
They are. And I think the more we can focus on developing those skills,
Yeah?
the more valuable we're going to be in this AI-powered world.
Absolutely. So it's not about being afraid of AI. It's about embracing it and figuring out how we can use it to enhance our own abilities.
Exactly. And I think that's a really empowering message
It is.
because it means that we're not passive bystanders in this technological revolution.
Right.
We have agency.
Yes.
We have the power to shape the future of AI.
Okay, so how do we do that then? How do we make sure that AI is used for good and not for evil?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Right.
But I think it starts with having these conversations.
Yes.
It starts with raising awareness.
Yes.
It starts with educating ourselves and others about the potential and the perils of AI.
And it starts with being mindful of the choices that we make today,
Exactly.
because those choices are going to shape the world of tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most important things we can do is to be mindful of the data that we're feeding these AI models.
Okay, data bias. Tell me more about that.
Right, because AI models are only as good as the data they're trained on.
Right.
So if we're feeding them biased data.
We're going to get biased results.
Exactly.
And that could have really negative consequences for certain groups of people.
Absolutely. So it's really important that we're aware of this bias.
Right.
And that we're taking steps to mitigate it.
So how do we do that? Like, how do we make sure that the data that's being used to train these AI models is fair and unbiased?
Well, I think one thing is to make sure that we're training these models on diverse data sets.
Okay, so not just like one type of person.
Exactly.
Or one type of experience.
Right. We need to make sure that we're representing all walks of life, all perspectives.
Yeah. And that's going to be a challenge.
It will be.
Because historically, a lot of the data that we've collected has been biased.
It has.
Because it's been collected by humans.
Right.
And humans are inherently biased.
Right.
So how do we overcome that human bias?
Well, I think one way is to involve more people in the process of collecting and annotating data.
So not just like a small group of engineers in Silicon Valley.
Exactly.
We need people from all over the world.
We do.
From all different backgrounds.
Right.
To be involved in shaping these AI models.
And I think that's starting to happen.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more initiatives to democratize AI, to make it more accessible to people from all walks of life.
I like that.
And I think that's really encouraging.
It is, because it means that the future of AI is not just going to be shaped by a select few.
Right.
It's going to be shaped by all of us.
Exactly. And I think that's how we make sure that AI is used for good.
Yeah.
Is by making sure that everyone has a seat at the table.
Love it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've talked about the AI landscape.
Yes.
We've talked about prompt engineering.
Yes.
We've talked about the importance of data bias.
Yes.
And we've talked about the need for democratizing AI.
Right.
But I want to end on a bit of a lighter note.
Okay.
Because we talked about how Torrijos opened his talk with this really cool AI-generated video.
Yes.
And I have to ask,
what's that?
did he give us any other like fun AI tidbits?
He did. He shared this really interesting anecdote about how he uses AI to help him come up with ideas for his talks.
Okay, so he uses AI to help him with his creative process.
Exactly.
That's so meta.
I know, right?
Tell me more.
So he said that whenever he's feeling stuck, he'll go to ChatGPT and he'll give it a prompt. Like,
Okay.
give me 10 ideas for a talk about the future of AI.
Okay.
And he said that he's always amazed by the creativity and the diversity of the ideas that ChatGPT comes up with.
So it's like having a brainstorming partner.
Exactly.
But it's an AI.
Right.
That's so cool.
It is. And he said that it's really helped him to break out of his own echo chamber
Okay.
and to come up with new and innovative ideas that he never would have thought of on his own.
So it's like AI is helping him to be more creative.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It is. And I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Is that AI is not just about automating tasks.
Hmm.
It's also about augmenting our own creativity
Yeah.
and helping us to see the world in new and different ways.
I love that. Okay, so to kind of wrap things up here, because I know we've covered a lot,
We have.
but I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
Torrijos talked about how the pace of AI innovation is accelerating
Right.
and how it's hard for us to even grasp the speed at which this is all happening.
Yeah.
So my question to you and to our listeners is this.
What's up?
Are we ready for the future that we're creating?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And I don't know that there's an easy answer,
Right.
but I think the first step is to start asking ourselves that question.
Yes.
And to start having these conversations about the future of AI.
Absolutely, because if we don't,
Right.
then we're just along for the ride.
We need to be active participants in shaping this future.
And we need to do it together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so on that note,
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive into the world of AI.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It is a good question. And I think, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot too. Like,
Yeah.
where do we even begin?
Yeah.
And I think
Because it feels so big.
it does.
Yeah.
It feels really overwhelming.
It does.
And I think Torrijos even acknowledged that in his talk.
Yeah.
That this is,
It's like we're at a tipping point.
we're at a tipping point.
Yeah.
And it's both exciting and terrifying
Yes.
at the same time.
Absolutely.
And I think the key is to not let the fear paralyze us,
Right.
but to use it as fuel,
Okay.
to use it as motivation to learn and to grow and to shape this future that we're creating.
So where do we even begin? Like, what can our listeners do starting today to kind of step into this world of AI?
Well, I think the first step is just to be curious.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
There's so many great resources available online.
Yes.
Free courses, tutorials, articles, you name it.
It's overwhelming how much is out there.
It is. I'll
I'll
be
be
honest.
honest.
It is, but that's a good thing
Okay.
because it means that there's something for everyone, no matter what your skill level or your interests are.
So don't be intimidated.
Don't be intimidated.
Just dive in.
Just dive in and start exploring.
You maybe start with something small. Like what?
Yeah.
That's like what's a good entry point for someone who's like AI curious, but maybe a little bit intimidated?
Well, I mean, we talked about ChatGPT, and that's a great place to start.
Okay.
You can use it to generate text, to translate languages, to write different kinds of creative content.
Right.
And it's a really user-friendly interface, so you don't need any coding experience or anything like that.
You don't have to be a tech wizard.
Nope.
Okay.
And then, once you're comfortable with that,
Yeah.
you can start branching out and exploring other AI tools.
Okay. Like what are some other tools that you would recommend?
Well, it really depends on your interests.
Right.
But there's some really cool AI tools out there for things like
Yeah.
image generation,
Oh, yeah.
like Midjourney, Dali 2.
Okay.
Those are a lot of fun to play around with.
Yeah.
You can create some really amazing art with those tools.
And some of those, like, you don't even have to be an artist.
Yeah.
You just like,
You just tell it what you want,
yeah.
and it creates it for you.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
It really is.
And then there are AI tools for things like video editing,
Okay.
music composition.
Oh.
So really, the sky's the limit.
The possibilities are endless.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's so exciting about this field is that it's really empowering individuals
It is.
to do things that they never thought possible before.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our listeners who are feeling inspired, who are ready to dive in, what's our final takeaway for them today?
I think our final takeaway is this. The AI train has left the station.
Ooh, I like that.
It's happening.
It's happening whether we're ready or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean we can't catch up.
Right.
It doesn't mean we can't be a part of it.
We can shape it.
Okay. We have the power to shape the future of AI.
Right. And it's not just about the technology.
Mm.
It's about what we do with it.
Exactly.
It's about the choices that we make
Right.
and the actions that we take.
It's about using this technology for good,
Yes,
for the betterment of humanity.
I love it.
And I think if we can do that,
Yeah,
then the future is very bright.
I love that. On that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI. As always, thank you to our listeners for joining us on this journey. And remember, the future is not something that happens to us, it's something we create. So let's go create an amazing future together.